Hi everyone, it's Kat, and today I'm excited to walk you through a research brief on a study called I Didn't Know That Any Level of Support Could Have Prepared Me: The Post-Secondary Experiences of Blind and Low Vision Young Adults. Insights for Parents, Educators, and Students. Who am I? My name is Katerina Kerbaba, and I work with the Empower VI team as a project assistant. I'm visually impaired, and I have experienced the transition from high school to adulthood. My own early experiences with college, work, and independence connect to the outcomes discussed in this study. The issue: blind and low vision youth often face barriers after high school, such as employment rates, challenges with independent living, and difficulties in finishing college successfully. Even with laws like the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, 2004, and the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, 2014, many students still do not get the supports they need. There is limited research on how young adults with visual impairments are doing after high school. This study helps fill in the gap by highlighting the different experiences of these young adults. Study purpose: understand how blind and low vision young adults view their early experiences after high school. Focus on their early adult outcomes in 4 main areas: employment, post-secondary education and training, independent living, community participation. Note: to learn about young adults' school transition experiences, check out the findings of our companion study. Research questions. What are the early adulthood experiences of blind and low vision young adults related to employment? What are their experiences with post-secondary education and training? What are their experiences with living and participating in their community? Who participated? 33 young adults between the ages of 18 and 25 who are blind or have low vision. Participants were from 16 unique states, were from urban, suburban, and rural areas, mostly attended public schools, some attended schools for the blind, private schools, or charter schools. 42.4% had an additional disability. Who participated? A closer look. Gender: female 69.7%, male 27.3%, non-binary/other 3.0%. Diploma type: general education diploma 75.8%, occupational diploma 9.1%, special education diploma 6.1%, other or alternative diploma type 9.1%. Now, on the right-hand side, race and ethnicity. Participants could select more than one category. White, 78.8%. Black or African American, 15.2%. Hispanic or Latino, 12.1%. Asian, 3.0%. Data collection. Participants completed an online survey about their early adulthood experiences. The survey asked about employment, post-secondary education, independent living, and community participation. Questions were based on national transition studies and reviewed by blind and low vision experts. We analyzed both quantitative and qualitative study data, which just simply means you get both quotes from participants and statistics. Early employment experiences. 63.6% participants had been employed since high school. 61.9% of those were currently working. 38.5% worked part-time from an average of 18 hours per week, range 4 to 65 hours. 46.2% received accommodations at work, and all of these met their needs. 30.8% said their job matched their high school IEP employment goal. Early employment continued. 81.8% had been connected with a vocational rehabilitation counselor. Of those connected, 63.7% received job preparation services, 27.3% received supported employment services, and 31.8% received extended supports. Barriers to employment include lack of transportation, health challenges, and ableism. Early employment quote: "Most young adults have no idea how to be around a blind person their age." Post-secondary education and training experiences. 78.8% had been enrolled in a post-secondary education or training program. 28.6% said the COVID-19 pandemic affected their access to college programs. 57.6% were currently enrolled, and of those, 84.2% attended full-time. Of enrolled students, 36.8% attended community or junior college, 31.6% attended four-year university, 21.1% attended a graduate or training program, and 5.3% attended a certificate program or comprehensive training center for the blind. Post-secondary education and training continued. 63.2% commuted to school from their family's home. 21.1% lived on campus. 15.8% commuted from elsewhere. 50.0% said their experiences matched their IEP post-secondary goal. Post-secondary education and training, quote, "So, for all the years of my life before college, I was not allowed to go anywhere alone. Therefore, when I got to college and was expected to be traveling on my own, I found it to be kind of overwhelming. I had the skills, but the simple fact that I was alone and I didn't have anyone to ask if something went wrong. Even during my O&M training, I was always with someone. I think this was the hardest part of my transition." 22-year-old female from Idaho. Post-secondary education and training accommodations. 78.9% received extended time on exams. 63.2% received books in alternative formats. 57.9% received exams in a different setting. 52.6% received large print or braille materials. All participants who received accommodations said they were very or mostly useful. Post-secondary education and training accommodations, quote, "I attended to take classes at 4 different colleges, none of which provided the reasonable accommodations I needed as a result of being deaf-blind. I'm interested in attending college if a university's disabilities office and professors will provide the reasonable accommodations." 22-year-old female from Missouri. Adult living experiences. 66.7% lived with parents or guardians. 9.1% lived with a roommate not on college campus. 6.1% lived with another family member. 6.1% lived with a romantic partner or spouse. 3.0% lived in a residential facility for adults with sensory disabilities. Adult living experiences continued. 75.8% were happy with their current living situation. Of those unhappy with their living situation, participants shared barriers to making a change. 62.5% cited cost, 40.0% cited limited supports, and 20.0% cited family expectations or lack of transportation. 36.4% said their living situations matched their IEP goal. Adult living experiences, quote, I would like to live in my own home/apartment, preferably in a community with better disability-related services and transportation. So just a personal comment for me, I have noticed, and I'm sure you all have noticed too, that there's been a common theme of lack of transportation throughout this whole presentation, and it's unfortunate and very true. And from my personal experience, I have experienced it firsthand, and I live in a apartment complex where there is limited train station access or even discounted Ubers that I do have access to, but because I don't live in the appropriate mileage from a train station, I don't always have those discounts. So having that transportation that's consistent or able to be easily accessible for everybody is very limited, and I've noticed it firsthand. Community involvement experiences. 63.6% attended community events. 57.6% participated in a faith community. 39.4% volunteered or did community service. 33.3% joined organized extracurricular teams. 15.2% took classes or lessons outside of school. 9.1% participated in cultural communities. 60.6% said they knew where to find opportunities to be involved. Community involvement experiences continued. 36.4% were somewhat satisfied with their friendships. 6.1% were not at all satisfied with their friendships. 24.2% said they felt a strong sense of belonging in their community. 39.4% said mostly. 33.3% said somewhat. Community involvement experience, quote, movie theater events for legally blind would be helpful. There are a lack of specific details for legally blind people to safely mobilize for popcorn, soda, seating numbers, and rows in the dark. This removes any confidence for me to feel in order to date or hang out with friends. 18-year-old male from New Jersey. Why this matters. Only 33.3% said their adult outcomes matched their IEP goals. 46.2% of employed participants received workplace accommodations. 42.4% had an additional disability, increasing barriers in employment and education. Findings show long-term effects of limited instruction in orientation and mobility, assistive technology, and self-advocacy. These areas of the extended core curriculum are essential for students in adulthood. So I just wanted to share a quick personal anecdote to show why exactly all of this is so important, because when I was a junior or senior in high school, I'm going to tell you, I had no idea what I wanted to do, what college I would go to, what was going to be the living situation. I could tell you I was not ready. I was not ready to be just thrown into the real world. I had the skills. I had, like that other young person said, she had the skills, but she felt overwhelmed in that way of being like fully alone. And so I wasn't ready. I could sense that, like, yeah, I knew what I was going to do, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. What kind of supports could I still have? So when I graduated high school and started to learn about, I have the ability to have a transition program that I can go to that also could happen on campus, on my local community college's campus, and I can get support because it's a transition program where I can be on campus and be a part-time or full-time student as I wanted, but I could also be still part of my high school's district, and there are staff from the district that come on campus and work with you and support you. And also because of that and being still part of the district, I still had all the supports. I had orientation mobility teachers that could go out and work with me, or TVI, or occupational, whatever I needed could happen, and people could still come out and help me, and I could still have that on-campus support whenever I needed it. and not feel like I'm being thrown into the real world and be fully alone. Like, I had constant support going into college, which is a rare experience, but this is exactly why this is so important, because if I didn't have all that support still, I don't know if I would be able to be as successful as quickly or as effectively being able to navigate everything the way that I did, because I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. And so having all this extra support and just, especially what you're doing in high school, but then realizing that, like, we're not ready, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have that support still on campus in college that's one-on-one, personalized, or whatever you need. And so this is exactly why, like, it's so important to have the support and happening in high school, but then also, making sure that all this is consistent and support is consistent, so you feel even more prepared. And now, because I had that continuation support, I feel even more prepared and ready to go once I exit the program. What parents and educators can do: encourage independence and self-advocacy starting early in school. Include extended core curriculum areas in the IEP. Support orientation and mobility O&M instruction. Connect youth with assistive technology AT centers for training when appropriate. What parents and educators can do continued: provide opportunities for students to learn and apply social and daily living skills. Collaborate with vocational rehabilitation and adult service. Provide real-world and college experiences before graduation. Help students and families understand the transition process and what adulthood could look like. Learn more. Explore current research on transition outcomes for blind and low vision youth. Visit Empower VI's research page to access published research briefs and updates. Learn about related projects through APH Connect Center, National Research and Training Center of Blindness and Low Vision, NRTC, Perkins School for the Blind, Paths to Technology. Attend webinars and conferences focused on transition and post-secondary success. How can Empower help? Empower VI offers several ways to support blind and low vision youth in their transition journeys. An accessible website filled with free resources, free courses on transition topics for students, families, and professionals, mentorship opportunities, communities of practice for professionals and adult family members, social media and YouTube channel, all linked in the footer of the website. Research. A manuscript of this study has been submitted for publication. Authors and co-authors: Michelle Schultz, Hilary Trevors, Emily Lunchuk, Katrina Dubry, and Katerina Kerbaba. 2025. Thank you for caring about BLV youth. With the right tools and people who believe in us, we can do anything. Quote from a study participant.